Space-time badass here. So I thought it would be good, and I've been thinking this for a while, that it might be a good idea to kind of let you guys know what my beliefs are with lucid dreaming, spirituality, religion, that sort of thing. Because the topic of lucid dreaming is a very personal topic, and a lot of people see it a lot of different ways. And as I'm looking through the catalog of videos that I have on YouTube, I can see that transition occurring at different points through my lucid dreaming life, both since I've started YouTube and before then. I've changed quite a lot in my outlook, and ultimately I think this is a good thing. We should always be searching for truth, and certainly I would be more afraid if I just never really changed much at all. I think that would be absolutely terrible. But if you've gone through my channel, or if you do after this, you'll see me displaying beliefs that I no longer hold. But I felt that it's important to keep those videos up because I never know where someone else is in their journey, and perhaps by seeing my journey or going along that journey with me through the videos, I think that some people could be helped or find useful information. Because I'm always trying to grow and kind of refine who I am as a person, and ultimately that has taken me on a really insane and winding path. And I thought that would be something that would be fun to kind of let you guys in on and let you know where I started and exactly how I got where I'm at now. So, as a child growing up, I think I was pretty inquisitive, and I was kind of raised Christian, but at the time of my birth, all the way up to about 4 or 5, religion wasn't ever really instilled in me. I mean, it was assumed that my parents believed in God and that I should too, but we never really went to church much or talked about that. But when my parents got divorced, I was really young, about 5, 6 years old, just before kindergarten. And at that point, things obviously changed quite a bit for me as a child, and one of those things was that my father decided to become a little bit more religious. So religion started to take a little bit bigger of a role in my life. I was brought to church, I was baptized, and I learned a little bit about the Christian faith. And I don't want to say that I was really atheist or anything at this time, but I never really connected with Christianity, and kind of was a kid who didn't really think about it that much at that time. But as I got older, it kind of continued this way, but my brother was a little bit different than I was at the time, where I just would kind of take my parents' word and try to be a good kid, and I never really questioned that much. My brother was a complete hellion, and he started getting into these books, like OBE books and Wicca books and shit like that. And as a kid growing up and thinking my brother's so much cooler than me, naturally I wanted to start reading some of those books. So as he got older and kind of got disinterested, I got some of those books. And I remember reading a couple of books on Wicca, an OBE book, and I spent a lot of time on those. And then as I got a little bit older, maybe 13 or 14, I was completely committed to the idea of Wicca. And so I was pretty into that for a while, and that was probably the phase where I was the most gentle and loving. But as time went on, I didn't really feel that there was any merit in it, and I think for good reason. And I've always kind of been a person to judge things on their merits. So at that point, I kind of concluded at about, after following it for a few years, at probably about 15 years old, 15, 16, I kind of got out of the Wicca phase because these spells don't work, obviously, magic isn't real. And so I went on from that, and I started to get a little bit into Christianity, so I read a lot of the Bible at that point, and I started to kind of wonder about it, and then I just kind of dropped it and let it fall to the wayside. And so I got into a relationship at some point that was really dependent upon the fact that I go to church. Her parents really wanted me to go to church. And so I did this, and this was a Pentecostal church. And I'd kind of gotten to a point after reading a little bit about Christianity where I didn't really believe much in that because the book kind of seemed barbaric and just didn't make much sense to me. But I did get back into it a little later, and I think the thing that made me really want to give Christianity, specifically in this case Pentecostalism, a chance is some experiences that I'd had with a Ouija board, which started to bring my... I had an experience with the Ouija board that it just started to make me think that these kind of otherworldly things could be real again. So after kind of chilling out in a bit of agnosticism, kind of atheism, not sure, don't care kind of way, I'd done some Ouija board. I played with a Ouija board with my friends, and then it got to a point where we were doing it a lot, and I ended up doing it like by myself. And if you're familiar with Ouija boards, it just depends on what you believe, but generally people are like, if they believe in it, they're like, don't fuck with Ouija boards. And if they don't, then obviously most of those people know that it's just a mental thing. So when you do this, you're actually making movements unbeknownst to your conscious mind, but it is still driven by the subconscious. So you are believing in that it will work, and you're not really attempting to move it, but through your kind of intention, a subconscious process goes on. I forget what it is called, but these kind of micro movements guide it in one way or another, and you just kind of go with it. So that experience, though, at the time I believed it, I realized that the experience that kind of came from that was actually psychosomatic. So what happened is I'd been doing it with friends for several nights for a while, and then I decided I was going to do it for myself, and I did that for a few days, and then my hand started to get this twitching thing going on. And this was completely psychosomatic because I believed so much in what I was doing that I thought I was talking to this thing. And so I got to a point where it's like I was asking questions and just putting my finger to a surface and asking questions like yes, no, that sort of thing. I would designate, left is no, right is yes, and then I would ask questions, and it would kind of serve as a Ouija board. And so this is where I kind of got a little bit into automatic writing, because from that I could spell things out. So I started doing it with pens, and sort of did automatic writing as something that was interesting. But for a few days I had a psychosomatic twitch in my hand after doing this and the automatic writing. It's amazing. The mind is a crazy thing. So this actually made me believe it, because I didn't know as much as I know now, obviously, about psychology and how these things work. So my friend, who believed in kind of the more esoteric things at the time as well, had a Quran, and he was very well versed in a lot of different religions. And in talking with this quote-unquote entity that I thought I was talking to, it pulled the word jinn out. That's what it said it was, a jinn. And as I look back on this experience, I think that this was influenced by the movies that I had seen many years prior to this Ouija board experience. Wishmaster, there's like a series of 2 or 3 movies about this evil jinn who will grant wishes and does horrible things. Completely gets it wrong, basically. So it's just interesting that it could pull something into the Ouija experience from my memory years prior. But anyway, my friend, when talking to him about this, he was like, oh, okay, so this is a jinn, so here's a Quran, here's some passages to read out of the Quran, and this should make it go away. And so I read those passages at night, and that eased my mind enough for the psychosomatic twitch to go away. And I read a little bit of the Quran, but I never got super into that. But when I got more into Christianity, because of this relationship, our parents really wanted me to kind of go to church and that sort of thing. And I started to give it a chance. And with Pentecostalism, there's talking in tongues is a thing, which I thought was really refreshing, surprisingly, compared to the other forms of Christianity that I had seen, which was completely Baptist, and just did not like that whole style of love for a higher power based completely out of fear. And so I thought it should be more about love, and Pentecostalism was a little bit more like that. Now this was First Assembly of God Pentecostalism, So it wasn't like everyone had to wear, like all the women had to wear skirts and have their hair a certain way. It was a little more relaxed, and everyone pretty much looked normal, except for like the older ladies who kept up that tradition. But I got into that for a while, and then I read the majority of the Bible, and even had a tongues experience, which is more psychosomatic things. So a lot of this, as I've gone throughout my transition in life of learning about different religions and things like that, when I've tried out a religion or a path, I've always tried to go about it as wholeheartedly as possible, and I believe I was very good at making myself believe these things at the time, enough to kind of test it out and see what it was all about, because I really searched for truth. I needed there to be a purpose to my life and to my existence, and I really was wholeheartedly searching. And the more experiences I had, the more I saw that these things didn't really have any merit. They did not work for me, and if they didn't work for me, then surely they must not work. But I mean, even the times where I kind of fooled myself into it, it's been a long journey to analyze things and learn more about my experiences so that I can know what things are, and have a better means to form a basis for what this reality is, have a model in my mind that is objective reality, as close to that as it can be. And naturally, when I got into lucid dreaming, this was from a psychedelic experience, as you guys probably know if you watch me. The first night after my psychedelic experience, I had my first lucid dreams and my first out-of-body experiences. And that just completely got everything going again, because I had fallen back into, like an atheism, thinking it's like complete bullshit. And I think I still kind of have that today. But when I had the out-of-body experiences and the lucid dreams, and I ultimately began to develop that more, I focused more on lucid dreaming, as you may expect. And I've been doing that now this is my 8th year, and occasionally I'll have kind of out-of-body experience, formatted lucid dreams as I see them now. But there was a time, and this is on some of my earlier videos, there was a time when I thought that the out-of-body experience and the lucid dream were separate experiences. But as time goes by and you experience more and more lucid dreams, and then you can compare them to the out-of-body experiences that you've had, and especially if you do wilds, it's really easy to see that the out-of-body experience or astral projection, even though I got really sucked into believing that for a while, again, you can see this in some of my earlier videos, I experienced more, and I grew, and I kept questioning all of my experiences, and ultimately decided that it seemed very obvious to me that an out-of-body experience or an astral projection was just simply a specific formatted wild. So if you induce a lucid dream through wild, and you have this expectation of what the dream will be like, it's more likely that you will begin to dream about that, because as we know, in dreams, our thoughts dictate our reality. So that kind of settled that argument for me, and ever since then, I've always thought about existence. I've always wanted to contemplate the universe, what it means to exist, be a conscious creature, be a human on this planet. And I still feel deeply this need for purpose. However, now I feel that that purpose is self-defined, because I've taken myself through so many points of view throughout my life, and believing in so many paranormal and supernatural things, and just trying to do my best to investigate them over the years to find my beliefs. It's ultimately led to where I'm at now. Well, basically, I teeter. It depends on what mood you catch me in. So sometimes I'll say I would be a pantheist, I guess, which is I would believe that the universe itself is conscious. But when I analyze this, I don't think I really believe it. I think that pantheism is really, by my standard, the best guess of if there is a higher power or more to the universe. I think that potentially that would be the only thing that I could find believable. But ultimately what I believe is very much based in materialism. I believe that here we are, here we die. We did not exist before birth. We will not exist after death. Now, I think that is most likely, and I live my life in that fashion. So what I like to focus on mainly in my life is gaining knowledge and really trying to analyze myself. Not in here. Really try to analyze myself as much as possible, grow as a person, and I think that I find my highest purpose is with consciousness. It's such a marvel and an amazing thing, and I think it's even more amazing to think that, you know, it just happened as a result of natural processes. But, you know, to be clear, I try to remain open to as many things as I can, and I will always be questioning my thoughts and my beliefs. And so this is why I feel kind of strange when I express my beliefs and thoughts to people on this, is because I'm constantly in this state of flux. Like, I'm always evolving. I'm always, as soon as I find something that I believe in that makes so much sense to me, I will go right into questioning it and really trying to work it out in my mind, trying to be logical, trying to really see what is the most probable. But that doesn't mean that it's not fun to muse about things and come up with some pretty wild ideas and really think, could this be the case? So right now, with lucid dreaming, I found it's the best tool to explore consciousness, which is really what I think it's all about. The spiritual experience, for me, is all based in consciousness now. I have very much the same ideas on it as Sam Harris does, and it's just, for these things to be valued, such as meditation, lucid dreaming, any mindfulness practice, or practice where one will work on their own consciousness and try to receive a greater understanding of what it is to be. I think all of these things have meaning and are very useful outside of any dogmatic context. So the spiritual experience is specifically just the experimentation with consciousness, altered states. What can we do ultimately with consciousness? What can we experience? Can we experience immense love, immense pain, immense pleasure? Really trying to figure out what it is to be human and what our limits are, and who we can become. It's all very interesting to me. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and this may change, but I felt like for anybody who's watching me, and if people start to, you know, kind of watch me regularly and sort of wonder about what I believe, or see these videos of me in the past where my beliefs are different than they are what I display now, I just kind of wanted to have this as a reference to clear up any confusion, because doing YouTube for about 4 years now, I think almost 5 at the end of this, no, it'll be 4 or 5 years doing YouTube now. Undoubtedly my beliefs have changed, and my beliefs are going to continue to change, I'm sure, but I think what I'm moving toward now is something that is much more evidence-based, and I like to, you know, deal with logic, and I still like to question and explore and ultimately try to find purpose in my life, but more so I believe that this is self-guided. So I find purpose in existing as a conscious creature and trying to learn as much as I can and experience as much as I can, and lucid dreaming is my main means of doing that, although nothing can beat introspection as well, and just being honest with yourself in general and trying to look at yourself outside of yourself. But I think that does it. I hope I've gotten my ideas across as well as I can, to where this isn't just the ranting of a madman. But I just felt like you guys should know kind of how I got to where I'm at. So yeah, very much not religious or believing in the paranormal in the slightest at this instance, but I'll keep you guys updated if that changes. So yeah, I think that just about does it. I do want to apologize to you guys. I haven't been so regular, and I really wanted to have this on time on Friday. However, I've had a really, really rough week, and I've worked probably 50 or 60 hours, the previous week, so I really didn't have a lot of time, and there was a lot of stress in the week, so hope you understand. The normal things, guys, check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SpacetimeBadass. You can check out my Patreon, patreon.com/SpacetimeBadass. I've updated my patron rewards, so you can check that out and see if anything clicks with you now. As well, if you'd like to get some lucid dreaming goodies for yourself, you can do so by checking the description box down below and clicking on my Dreamleaf affiliate link, and there they have many goods that can help with lucid dreaming, and if you make a purchase there, then 15% of that will go to help the channel out and help me do what I do. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take it easy.